And we are live. Hello everyone, how's it going? So I've been working a bit more on this spider bot, and I can now say for certain that I made the most likely best version of it so far. Well, that I think I could make. Version 3, so let me go over the nodes. As you can probably see, they're a bit reduced since last time. I think I chopped out over half of the nodes and made it just a whole ton better. So I'll wait a little bit longer to go over that for people joining the stream, but I should break down the effect a little bit before I go and do a deep dive. So essentially, I have this mesh that does stuff. This is just the input geometry. I have a vertex group assigned for the center so that I could do some stuff later. And yeah. So what this does is it moves this piece of geometry and does a little stepping pattern, which is pretty cool. The second piece of the geometry nodes does the real magic, where it does the legs and then I have this little bouncy thing, but that's not necessary, and maybe I should temporarily disable it for this project. So that's only the inverse kinematics thing, because the wobble thing is still kind of not the best. So I have a node group set up for the IK on the legs, but for the little walker thing, just this. So this is how it is set up. So first of all, I have a version of the mesh that is moved to where this empty is. So let me go and show you that. It just moves along with the empty on the ground. And you can see that that follows behind. Actually, that's a different part, so I should hide that. But that's the target position, where it wants to go. So let me go and show this without any of the post effects. This part just moves the mesh on the floor, which is pretty standard. It just moves, stops, move, and then stop again. So that's controlled by this part right here. I have the scene time, which is the frames. Then I divide it by 20 to say, hey, every 20 frames, complete a cycle. So to do that, I have a random offset for each one, and then I fraction it. And then I basically make a gradient from 0.5 to 1, saying, hey, from 0.5 to 1, make a gradient that goes up over time. And then I feed that gradient into the time gradient attribute that I store for later. But then over here is where some of the magic happens. I get the offset from where the current position is to the target position. And then I normalize it to set it to a default of 1 or -1, depending on the orientation and such. Then I scale that by a minimum of 0.1. This is the speed of the simulation. So if I set that to 1, it just moves rather fast, almost immediately. So this is the limiter. Maybe I should label it as such. So if I were to reduce this to, say, 0.1, let's take a look at that. We can see that it just moves very little. And then that does that. So this is a limiter, and also it keeps it from, if I were to get rid of that one and just have 0.1 here, that makes it so that when it settles, it doesn't freak out when it reaches its destination, as we can see here. Or should see here. I'm surprised it's not freaking out. But that's just a little safety guard. And this part right here says, hey, if you're within the time gradient, not at the end or not at the start, then allow for the movement, the offset movement, to do its thing, which gets sent into the offset. But then there's this part, which, let me just show you this. This is the ground collider. So briefly, let me put this very briefly. We get the offset added to the source position, sorry. Then we feed that into the position for the raycast. So we offset it by 10. So essentially there's points 10 meters up from here, looking down and seeing where the floor is. Then we take that hit position, and then we do the switch, which says, if it hits the ground, then do the hit position. If not, just do what it was before. And then right here, converts it back into an offset, to which we can plug into here, and then just apply to the set position offset. Which I keep it as an offset and just not the position by default, so that we can access it later for over here. So here we come to the post effects. So as we can see, at this point, this just moves across the ground. It doesn't do any hopping. But since we have the time gradient, which basically says, do nothing for half the time, and then do the gradient for the other half of the range we specified here. That means that we can map this to a curve and say, hey, lift up the legs when the time gradient is passing by. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm explaining it well. I'm trying to go fast. But yeah, there's that. And then we also scale it by how far it moves, which is the offset. To basically say, hey, don't move like a meter up if you only moved like 0.1 meters. So that's another little safeguard. And one little issue is that you can see that the center point is hopping along with everything else because it's one of the vertices in the scene. We don't want that. So I assigned that vertex group to the center, and then we use this thing to basically, it's a complicated way of saying, hey, average the position of everything here except the center. That's what this part does. This is the average output. And then only apply that to the center right there. And then we can offset how tall it is using this. But this works on every mesh island, as we can see here, the island index. So that means I could have multiple ones of these in the scene, which I wouldn't really recommend because they won't all target the empty right there. They'll just be offset by the same amount. But if we do want that, we can see that they will all act as they should. But let me go and undo that. And that's basically the majority of the effect. That's the intelligent part. And then for the inverse kinematics, I went over this in the previous streams, which I think I'll delist because they're not as good of methods. It's basically a ton of math that says, hey, convert the edges into curves and then get the curve length. And by the curve length, say, with this math, make the orientation correct for if it were like inverse kinematics. Then apply that to the rotation, which is made here. The curve tangent aligns it to the curved line, and then the normal says, hey, point up. And then this just rotates it along the x-axis as it should. And then we instance the start and end objects here, one on the start part of the curve and one at the end point. Then we combine those and send it out. So that's that part, and ignore all that over there. That's not necessary for the scope of this little showcase. Uh-oh, looks like we have two in the same area. That's not what I wanted. But another thing is that we can have multiple ones of these in the scene, so if I move them around, just doing this, that, and the other, there we go. They will all go towards the empty, which means that all of these will combine into one big spider, which could be very terrifying, depending on your level of arachnophobia. So let me go and delete those. It's up or ours? It would be it's up, because I have it specified so that I can reverse it like that. So it could be either or, but it's up is fine. Technically it's the same because I haven't rotated this object, which I do not recommend, because it's not needed. While with this you could rotate it and it would be just fine. But kind of, it would just look a little weird, a little squashed. But yeah, that's the little walker mechanic, and it works very well. This is the best version of the effect, again, with using the offset and having the limiter and all that, and then doing that. It just works so much better than the previous method, which was so overly complicated, but now this one works very well. So now I'm wondering what kind of scenery I should add to this, because this is pretty good. Let me re-enable the excess points with this. I essentially have like a... Here, I can turn that off as well. I have a little wobble mechanic going on here for the top instance, but it's not needed. And a certain point so that I can track it with the camera, but again, not needed. A little beyond the scope. So let me just do that to showcase that part. We can see that this instance has a little more wobble, which is another simulation, but I need to optimize it. This is the best we're going to get. So yeah, this guy just does a little hop, skip, and jump. And it's good to go. So the scene, I'm thinking the kind of default grid floor setup that I made. Kind of like that. That seems pretty good. Then I made this, this is another shader node that I made, which is the grid floor. Which I forget, I think this is available in my material pack. But I'll have to double check that. So I could have the regular ones like that, or I could smoothen it out, change the grid thickness, which I think that looks pretty cool. Not what I want, but still pretty cool. Then the XY thickness you could change, which not sure why you would want that, even though it does look kind of cool. Just have it 1 meter. Oh wait, that's not. Oh, that's 1 meter on both axes. So that's a little bit wrong. That should be divided by 2 to be actually 1 meter. But nevertheless, it still looks pretty good. Let me reverse that to where it's back to its original location. So yeah, that's the effect. Seems pretty good. Maybe I'll make a more condensed explanation. If you guys didn't understand it, please let me know and I'll go over it. Because, yeah, like the post effects, don't worry too much about those. Like, this is the one you need to know. This one is... that could be optimized. But these ones, it's just... get the target position, live, get the offset, and then normalize and do all that. That's the main part. And then only move it in the time gradient, which we specified over here. And then do the snap offset to ground. If I didn't have to worry about the ground snapping... this could have been such a smaller node tree. But unfortunately, sorry, we can't do that. I also was testing a kind of moon ground, but the scaling of the object is very, very much off. So let me go and undo that by a bit. I was thinking kind of a moon look, which that kind of looks like it. You know, it's a bit more white than the moon is, so maybe a bit like that, but those values don't look good, but that looks actually pretty good. Testing if that looks better than that. All kinds of just testing, seeing what works and what doesn't. Testing different roughness values, which, ooh, wait. Oh, that's cool. Unexpected, but cool. So it's all a matter of what looks the best. Still figuring it out. I do like... oh, maybe I should combine the grid floor with this. I could do that. So let me give that a go. Just putting the grid floor into that one. Yes, it is that one. Just for... oh, wait. I don't have... I need to put outputs for just the grid mask. So that those parts are not necessarily showing. Oh, that looks good. I like that look. But maybe I should keep those just as kind of a center point. I do like that quite a bit. Yeah. That's a cool look. And then, does it look better as this or like that? Nope. The other one looks better. And I can make it more rocky or less. I think I like this look. I'm happy with that. Yeah. And then for the spider bot, we can see the instances over here. Here's the top section, there's the bottom section, and then the head. Pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, this turned out very, very well. I should mention that for these guys right here, the origin points are at the tip of the little spike there, and then at the end here, that's where their rotation axes are. But yeah. Works very well. I'm happy with it. Very, very happy with it. Yep. So now I could make quite a few interesting things with this effect. Actually, I want to try... this won't look good whatsoever, but I just want to try it. And let me save this effect before it keeps going. I want to try and see what happens if I disable the rotation, what it looks like. Oh, wait a second, that could look cool if I just... I'm messing up this by a lot, but I just want to test. So let me shorten these by a bit and see. Oh, that looks kind of adorable. It's breaking a little bit because they can't extend far enough, but yeah, that could work for something. So let me just undo that and reapply there. Spiderbot version does look the best. And another good thing is that the motion is completely plausible. it can never outrun itself, if that makes sense, because the position of the center is entirely dependent, sorry, on the legs. I'm kind of rushing the explanation a bit, so maybe I'll re-record that later. But let me set the distance to 2 meters, so essentially doubling the speed, which you can see it's a little more bouncy, not quite as... Ah, yes, there we go. But I think in this version it's limited... Yeah, it's following here very, very closely. What if I set that to constant? So now I'll just try going there as fast as possible. Oh, yep, it's fast. A little too fast, if I'm being honest. So for that, I could, let's lower the max height of this. Ah, but we can see some of the things kind of mess up a little bit. So yeah, I like it when it goes fast, but let's make it go slow and see what happens. Ooh, I like that look. It's very tactile. Let me make it so that it steps even faster. Let's see what that does. Well, yes, it does its job. It's hilarious, but not exactly efficient. Let me set that to 0.1. Yes, very, very adorable. 20. Let's see how that looks. We'll move fast, but not ludicrously fast. Just a little more energetic. Let me set this to 50 frames. This may actually kind of break... Oh no, it actually works okay. Even though it kind of overextends a little bit. So for this version, I would have to reduce the speed so that it doesn't overextend the limbs, which maybe I should try to not do. Actually, the interpolation is, or lack thereof, is kind of messing up the animation, so let me turn that back on as it was. So yes, you could have a very slow spider bot. And I think that little glitch I can fix in the end where it kind of twists into itself. Because that, yeah, this turns before it goes to its end result, so it kind of freaks out. Rotations are not the best with interpolating between positions. Let me set this to 1. Man, that is something. I could try... So I could try to use a ping pong in a map range. One thing that I'm seeing here is that it goes forward, then it stops immediately. That's due to this being just go, stop, so it's a very harsh cutoff between the stopping and going power. And I could stop that by using ping pong in a map range. Let's say 0.1. And let's switch this to smoother step, or 0.2, let's see. Does that change? Oh, yep, it does change it. I'm seeing a difference. It's much more gentle, not quite as abrupt. Yep. But you see so much character in just procedural animation. So let me set it to 10 and see how that looks. Again, adorable. I love it. What about 100 frames? Let's try to break it. Okay. The limbs are overextending. And all of that's happening. 5 frames. Again, adorable. But it seems that 20 frames is the good version. So every 2/3 of a second, these will go through a cycle. Oh, and have I mentioned that I can arbitrarily change the amount of legs with this? So let me go and copy. Wait a second, why is, Let me copy it. Okay, I copied it that time. And just add more legs. Warning for arachnophobia. So here we go, and let's take a look at the end result. This is going to be terrifying. So yeah, you can have a spider bot with an arbitrary amount of limbs doing the thing, and it works just fine. Let's try this one. Again, hilarious. Terrifying. Just a little too smooth for my liking. We could also do the inverse where it's only a few of these. Now this one I expect to not do well because I do not have proper like balancing in place. Even though I could set that up with the averager, but it would be a little bit difficult and complicating to do. Ah, and it looks like that one is having a bit of a problem with which one is getting instanced. Oh, but it does work. Granted, not too well because it kind of has a phantom limb there. That keeps it afloat, but not horribly. Let's connect this one back up and see how that does it. Yeah, there you could really see the harsh interpolation. Oh yeah. Again, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. With this one, we can make the time walking even longer, which makes it feel very floaty, or I can make it very harsh. So it just has a little bit of time to move, which that gives it a very interesting walk. Let me set that to be a bit more. And I should also... Yeah, how are you doing? Remove. Here, let me extrude this, remove it from there, and see if that fixes that little... Ah, no, it does not fix the IK problem. Huh. That is not good. Oh well, I think that's just a little indexing problem. What if I have another? Wait, where the heck are you going? Remove that part? Okay, that fixes. Oh, that... Okay. That's weird. So that's a little error, but I think I know how to reverse that. I could set up a node group so that reverses the instancing on there. So that that little error never happens. But for the time being, you know, it's just a little bug that I will squash later. So here we have this, which looks like, you know, just a robot going about its day. And here we have that. So I'm just going to keep playing along, around with this to see what looks really cool and or funny. Great, I made a Boston Dynamics machine. A very, like the old Boston Dynamics ones that were very, very careful with their placement. Then I could smoothen it out by a bit. Yeah, that feels very robotic. Let me add more legs. I want to see what it looks like with the other result. So yes. Oh, and while you all are here, I want to... I recently put out the Geometry Nodes in a Nutshell video. And I was wondering what you guys thought of it. Because I'm really wondering whether or not it was actually helpful or just kind of confusing. Oop. Just need to check something real quick. Yeah, there we have all of those doing their thing, and it's working just fine. Actually, what if I made it... Oh, I already did test that where it moves. Oh, that is freaky. That is very freaky. But I really like it. It feels like it's creeping up on you. Oh my gosh. Let me go and reset the file just so that I don't do anything irreparable because I broke a few things. So let me go back into here, set this to 50, and oh wait, I need to do the ping pong in the map range. Map range. Let's do that so that we can do the little easing there. But that'll be good for like the end result where I smoother step. Oh yeah, that is oof, that is weird. The interpolation makes a big difference there. So here's it normally, where it's just dun 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 dun. That one's very assertive, while this one feels very cautious. Well, not super cautious, but maybe if I did this, it would, Jeez. So this one will feel very cautious. Like it's trying to sneak up behind you and then stab you. And I do need to do a little thing where the legs do not collide with each other. That will be possible with the index of nearest node. But right now they will collide. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. But that should be easy too. I would just have another little thing right here that says, hey, when you're close to your neighbor, stop moving, please. Probably should do another little thing that says, when you're too far away from the center, pick up the pace. But that might not work the best. Mm-hmm. I like the bobblehead. The bobblehead. Let's scale it up though. I wanted to see what it looks like with the normal icosphere on top. Does that look better or worse? That might look a little bit better. I think I might keep it the other way around. Let me change up the color. And maybe more of that color and increase the brightness by a bit. So I would imagine these like on the moon, kind of like what I have here. Picking up something, moving it to somewhere else, and then dropping it, which actually may be possible. Complicated, but possible. Because I can set the destinations, like here. Oops, yeah, let me set some custom destinations. So here, it'll be over here. Let me set the interpolation to constant. Then it'll go over to here. And then over there, it'll move over to there. So let's take a look at that. We'll try moving towards there. Then over to here. Then over to there. Then over to there. I could add in some velocity to make it kind of drag a little bit behind so it's not an instant... Oh, I'm going over here now. Because it's a little jarring when it does that. For the legs, it's not, because they're used to that. But maybe for everything else. I could try. So let me try. So let's do an add node. And then this. And then let's scale it down by a bit. Again, I'm in the testing mode. I don't think I'll keep... Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a little more than what I was bargaining for. Let me tone it down by a good amount. Yeah, these ones are, Yeah, if anything, I should offset or keep the offset velocity before the grid snapping. That it would not be bad. Okay. Let's keep some more of it. Yeah, it's still, it is having some lag, which is intended, not quite like that. I mean, that's very cartoonish, but, again, not quite what I'm going for. Let's make that 0.05. And it's sliding on the ground as well, which, another thing that I do not want. So if I, oh wait, yeah, I can do the velocity adder before the other limiter, which actually may help by a lot. That just makes it a lot more freaky. Not better, just freaky. I don't know, some people might find that better. Yeah, let's look from the top view. Yeah, I think we're getting off base again. More testing is required, but the current version isn't bad. Especially when let's turn up the speed again. Fun. Yeah, it still looks super duper intimidating, like it's going to eat you for breakfast, then lunch, then dinner. That version doesn't look as good, but with the easing, it helps quite a bit. Very cool stuff. I still know zero about the nodes. I did go over them very early in the stream. Hopefully it was a good explanation, but it's still a work in progress in terms of my explanation, because I just made this today in like an hour, or remade it in an hour, because this is version 3. Versions 2 and 1 were good. They were okay, but they could have been very optimized. Actually, I can show you. Let me reset the file again. So let me show you version 1, 2, and 3. Let's look at version 1. So this version, had that part. Which, as you can see, it's not quite as good. It does have the, wait, why does it have the wobble in the middle? Oh, right, because I programmed the wobble in the middle for all of them. Wait, it has a wobble in the middle for the centerpiece? Does it? Huh. It doesn't have the wobble for the centerpiece, but... Oh no, wait, it does, I think. Okay, let's look back at this one. So this one, yeah, has a little bit of wobble there, which very much contributes to the end result. But we can see the nodes are just a little bit bigger than the other one. So here is version 1. And here's version 3. Or, oh no, wait, that's not version 3. Here's version 3. So, new and old. Old is so big, it doesn't even fit into one screen. And I did a live stream about that. But it is now delisted. Here's version 2, which is a bit more optimized, but still, I have all of these sections that are not needed, and the animation wasn't quite correct. You can see we're getting there. It looks alright. Again, not great. And then this one is fully customizable with the lake placement. I could change this value to whatever I want, which is what I wanted originally, but I couldn't have until this version, where I can make it so that they step really high up and then just come straight down, which, you know, it doesn't look that great, but it worked for what was needed. Yeah, quite good. Alright, I think that may be everything for this, so I may try different, like, skinning methods, because I could do whatever I want with this part, which may be cool. So let me try that. Here, let me reset the file again, just so that I have a clean slate to work on. Let me hide that and make a new geometry node, just to test something new. So I'll do, mesh to curve to convert the legs into, from the mesh that they originated from into a curve. Now I'll use a, let's see, mesh to, curve to mesh. There we go, and then let's make this a circle. Curve circle. There we go, let's make that smaller. Let's have the radius be defined by a float curve. So let's use set curve radius. Let's have this be the spline parameter affected by a float curve. There we go. So now if I do this, we can see it gets smaller, bigger than smaller. Should. Oh, right. I need to resample these curves. So resample curve. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. And now let's change the radius so that it's like that and maybe lean it over this way. There we go. But another thing I can do, so I basically made a starfish, I guess. I can offset the middle by, wait, do I have that? Oh wait, the time gradient won't be correct for all of this, so I can't quite do that. Set position? Yeah, what does that look like? Yeah, the center does not work as it should. It actually freaks out. Why is it freaking out the camera? Little weird. But yeah, I could make these curves just offset based on the spline parameter upwards rather than with the time gradient, so let's do that. Vector math multiply, plug that into there, plug that into the output. Scale it up. Let's do that and do that. So now we can have that. Let me lean it over so that we get something a little more even. So there we go. Not too shabby, I don't think. So yeah, this is looking a little bit like the mimic effect. Not quite, but a little closer. This is originally how I wanted the mimic effect, to be more of a walking thing rather than a spawn new arm whenever it reaches a certain area. Which, that file is up on Garo, just shameless plug right there. But yeah, since we didn't have simulation nodes when that was created, I couldn't do that. But now that we do have it, I can make proper walking mechanisms. Yeah, that's looking very good. Maybe I should implement the slowed down walking, but I don't want to set that up again. Okay, so that was a fun test. I think I may end the stream there because, hey, this is working and working quite well. I got the render scene all ready to go. So I'll be, yeah, I'll be uploading this probably tomorrow. So thank you all for watching. I hope you had a very nice time looking at this effect. Again, let me show you the node tree. This is the actual simulation part, the part that moves, you know, all the dynamic effects. And over here, after the simulation output, are the post effects, like lifting up the foot and then averaging the middle position. So yeah, this is a good project. A project I've been wanting to make for quite a while. And since I actually completed it, which I'm very happy about. Alright everyone, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.